time crunch, so let's get into it. Are we gonna do the continue with the convention of at least for when we're trying to play catch up? Are we gonna do news review, or I mean?
Let's dive into the news real quick first, and we'll do the movies at the end.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right. So okay, I'm gonna let you start off with this first story.
So
Go to
I'm
it.
gonna actually start. I'm gonna start off with the. We talked a couple weeks ago about what's his face from the show Empire that allegedly got beat up in Chicago in the middle of the night, and here's the thing about that is because I was willing to give kind of the maybe not like I didn't necessarily believe in the degree or some of like the details seemed a little sketchy, but I was like, oh, but some of the details that were coming out weren't from him specifically. So I was saying, it's like, well, okay, maybe it happened, maybe, and other people are trying to sensationalize it, but I was wrong. The more I read about this story, or the more I hear, it just becomes more and more ludicrous, and it seems to me to be a hoax, all through and through.
Right. I mean, I mean, because just some of the things that have been slowly coming out, like even last week, I was like, I started, the more cynical side of me, which is every day, every news update is proving itself to be accurate. Um, has been telling me that this is a hoax, or this is some sort of cover up for some other kind of more, or some embarrassing thing that happened to him. So like I kind of stopped paying attention to like the updates about this story. But yeah, just everything that he was like been saying is being proven false, and or like details are like starting are not like holding up to scrutiny.
Yeah, it's so a couple of things that are a little odd about what happened on is so first off, this happened in the middle of the night in Chicago, so it's dog dirt cold. I mean, it's
Right. I mean,
so
during the
cold.
time when it's like, they were talking about polar vortex, the coldest it's been in Chicago and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, because that's how dedicated and committed, white supremacists are. That within like even in a snowstorm, even in below zero temperatures, they're willing to go out and lynch somebody.
Right. And first of all, it seems like with how that happened, it's like first off they would have to been waiting for him. Like it's not just like
Right. I mean, yeah, it can't be like, during the summer where they can kind of like post up and like wait for just like a random black guy. This is, again, this was like during a snowstorm, and, they would have, and like to like specifically single him out, they would have had to known like his schedule, or, or something.
yeah. And then it's like okay, but to the details, he was saying it's like, oh, but they were wearing ski masks and MAGA hats. Well, okay. Were they wearing the hats over the ski masks? How did you know
Of
they
course
were
not.
white?
They were wearing the MAGA hats underneath the ski masks. Come on, Robert.
Yeah,
Don't you know?
yeah. And it's like, and it's like, oh well, they were white guys. How do you know that they were white? Was it their skin color? Because
Yeah. Did they
I'm
flash? Yeah.
guaranteeing they're not
Did they
showing off a
lift
lot of
up their
skin.
ski masks real fast to make sure that you knew that they're white? They're white people.
And then you have like, then the other problem is okay, it's Chicago, which is a fairly heavy Democrat city,
Right.
and yelling out like something like "This is MAGA country." I really doubt that for one.
Right.
But here's where like those are just kind of more like coincidental, kind of weird things that make you go, huh, kind of odd. But to me, what makes this thing sound completely bogus is details that he shared to the police, or he shared stuff with TMZ and all these other news media outlets that he didn't share with the police.
Mm-hmm.
And he supposedly had all this evidence, and and it was like in his phone, and so it's like, well, when the police asked him, like, would we be able to go through your phone so we can get this evidence that you supposedly have? No. So you would rather have these people go,
You'd
go
want these
free.
guys to get away with doing this to you scot free, and potentially doing it to another poor, unsuspecting black person.
Yeah.
That doesn't track.
So that's where I'm like, wait a second, that seems a little odd. That seems kind of like now we're getting into some weird territory. Then what else? There was something else too. It's like, and then all the camera footage that they have, and there's quite a bit of it that's tracking him of where he's going, and there's no one else. It's just him. And supposedly at the time that this happened, they lose sight of him for a couple of minutes, but then they pick him back up and nothing. So something
Right.
tells me that and then here's another one too, where supposedly he had a cracked or bruised rib, but then a day or two later he's off dancing and singing and doing all his stuff. It's like, wait a second, if I don't know if any of you have had a cracked or bruised rib before. You're not dancing or singing. Trust me, it hurts to breathe, much less
Right.
much less do anything.
Right. I mean,
And
just as a little anecdote, my dad recently, like, he hurt, like, he kind of, like, I think he bruised his rib, because he was fixing his toilet, and he was, and he got it from, being in a position where something was pressing against his side for, for a protracted period of time. And then, every time I saw him, he was like complaining, like, oh man, it hurts so much, I can't like lift my arm, or it kind of, and sometimes it hurts to breathe, and I hear this, and all right, let's go to the urgent care, let's go to the emergency room, but being a Korean, being Korean dad, he's like, oh no, I'll be fine, and just kind of toughs it out, and then he eventually, he eventually heals. But during that time where his like, I'm pretty sure it was a bruised rib. That happened. He was like, it was in pain. He wasn't like moving as quickly. Like, his range of motion was very limited. So I mean, even just that little like bruise that he had on like his side, not necessarily saying that he like full on bruised his rib, but even just getting just like a small kind of like a lesion on that area, it's hindering.
yeah, and one of the just one of those things. It's like it kind of like raises an eyebrow,
Mm-hmm.
but then when you put them all together, it's like this didn't happen. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say none of this actually happened.
It's kind of like that scene in Chappaquiddick where he where what's it Ted Kennedy has the neck brace
The neck
on,
brace.
but then like during the funeral he like full on like turns his neck around
Yeah.
to look behind.
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. So it's like this, like, yeah, this Jussie Smollett guy, he supposedly gets a cracked rib, and then a couple days later he's in West Hollywood, surprise surprise, dancing and like playing it up, and it's like, oh, I'm a victim, hate, resist hate, like dancing on stage, and it's like, bruh, like, nah, nothing happened to you.
Guarantee, none of this happened. And there's and this isn't the first I've heard. I don't know 100%, but this is he's not the first Empire star to create this fake hate hoax.
Someone else?
There was another. Yeah, there was someone. I don't remember. I don't know all the details, but I heard that there was someone else on. I don't know if it was one of the actors or someone on set that had created some sort of fake hoax, kind of not quite like this, but kind of in the similar in kind of a similar light, and they end up having to, it was fake, and they had to retract everything and all this stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me that he's making it up too, because I'm telling you, Andy, the left, they want so badly for there to be some sort of righteous cause that they can fight against. So resist hate. It's all bullshit, because there might be pockets of assholes here and there, but there isn't this systematic racist hatred going on. It's just, it does not exist. Maybe not. I can't speak for other countries, but it damn well doesn't exist here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and if and again, if it does exist, it's very small pockets. Basically, at the most 100 people. Because I mean, people always point to when asked about Christian extremists, they always point to the Westboro Baptist Church. It's like yeah, there are about 80 people, and they're all related to each other, and 2/3 of them have flipper hands.
Yeah, and no one within the Christian community will,
Yeah, and every single time someone brings that up, they go I disavow. They're not, they don't represent Christianity. I disavow.
There's a lot of parts of some of the Christian denominations. I'm no, no, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, Westboro, when they're protesting soldier funerals as no, sorry guys.
Yeah, you lost me a long time ago, but this just confirms that I am not with you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this didn't happen. Definitely not. Maybe he something happened to him, but not like this.
Oh yeah,
this didn't happen.
I did hear that even the noose that was supposedly around his neck was not even a rope or a a shoelace. It was I think it was a wire coat hanger.
That's not a noose.
Yeah, it was just it was kind of at least that's what, or no, it was oh no wait, maybe not wire. Not a wire hanger, but I heard something to do with laundry. Maybe one of those lines.
Oh, clothesline?
Yeah.
But it's still, that's not a noose. That's what you.
Yeah, I mean, if it was just around his neck, yeah, because because a noose is a noose. It can't be just something with a simple
It's a specific knot tie for the
noose.
It's
it can't be just a simple box, a square knot or something, that just and just placed around the neck. A noose conjures up a certain image in one's mind, and I don't, and from what I hear, you'd be hard pressed to say that that's a noose.
Right. But yeah, no, with the clothesline, that's more of I might be messing up a garrote, where it has the two handles, and you kind of choke something out, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think I think this might have been some weird kinky sex thing.
Yeah, well, and that's that was something that Gavin McInnes was talking about, where it's it's possibility that he hit on somebody that was potentially straight and didn't want him around, so they punched him out, and so he didn't want to. So he was embarrassed. So might as well create this fake hoax.
Right. Or he found someone he found someone of particular persuasion, and and it was just an accident, and he actually maybe he actually did lose consciousness for a minute, and then maybe he fell to the ground, and that's where that cut comes underneath his eye. So
yeah. And here's maybe another thing that could have happened too, where there's we don't know what his contract stipulates, but there may be activities that he's not allowed to do because he is an actor, and so it kind of damage to his face or
Mm-hmm.
his body, that could stop production for some reason.
Right.
And he was doing something against his contract, and to kind of mitigate the backlash, like, oh, I was part of a hate crime. That's what
Mm.
happened. I wasn't out jumping my jet ski or something on the water.
Right, yeah. There's
So,
been a bunch of those stories where celebs do something that breaks contract with like a studio or something. Like they're not allowed to ride motorcycles, or they're not allowed to
right.
or they're not allowed to eat chicken because they might choke on the bone or something. Or, what have you.
So yeah, that's another possibility too of what may have happened. And yeah,
I don't
just
know,
kind
man.
of
But this yeah. I mean, I don't we'll never know what really happened, but for sure, like this supposed hate crime did not happen the way that
yeah,
this guy says it did.
it's too ridiculous.
It is.
Way too ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's all I had to say about that. Didn't happen.
All right. All right. Didn't happen. We're taking a definitive stance. It didn't happen.
The
Yeah. No caveats here. Didn't happen.
yeah.
No, no, no longer saying like, oh, maybe something did happen, but not this. No, like nothing.
Yeah, that's my hot take for the week.